right, here we go. All right, hey everybody. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 San Francisco Indie Fest. Thank you for joining us once again. Chances are, if you're watching this right now, this Q&A, you just finished watching the lovely, entertaining, enjoyable independent feature film Lucid, directed by Victor Villanueva, or Victor Villanueva. I'll find out how to pronounce that correctly in just a moment. And we're lucky enough to have Victor here with us. Hey, Victor, thanks for joining us.
Hi, Jason. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here and be part of your festival.
We're glad to have you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Did I pronounce your last name correctly? How do you say your name?
Villanueva. So
Villanueva.
your second attempt was, I think, closer.
Closer.
Uh-huh.
Well, forgive me for my poor pronunciation there, but bear with me.
It's
But
fine.
hey, it's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for doing this, and it's wonderful to have your sweet film or bittersweet film, you might be able to say, in the festival. Congrats again. So, real quick, why don't you just give us the elevator pitch in case there's someone watching this that hasn't seen the movie? But how would you describe the movie to, say, your mom or to someone really quick?
Okay. To my mama. Mom, the movie is about this girl who, who has this very routinary life. Like everything's just, very mundane until she discovers, lucid dreaming, which is, the ability to control your dreams. And in one instance, he was able to meet another dreamer in one of these dreams, and it somehow challenges her, on how to make her dreams more exciting, and and somehow some facets of his waking life also will be affected.
So, I mean, I can kind of guess, but did did you write the film? Who's the writer?
The writer is Nats Hadaone. She is my friend in this writing workshop here in the Philippines, and it was her concept, and it was also she wrote it for, I think, enough for 2 years, I think, or something, and then there was this grant in a local film festival, so we applied for it, and that's how the movie got made.
Wow. Okay. So, and then real quick too, can you tell us the two actors, the primary actors that are in the movie, what their names are?
Ah, the lead female actress is Alessandra De Rossi. She is a known actress here in the Philippines, wherein she does a lot of mainstream, but also a lot of independent films. And I love her because she's so committed to the craft and acting, and a lot of people here in the Philippines like to work with her because she's really very good. And the other guy is JM De Guzman, who is also a known actor here for telenovelas, and also for some movies. And how do you call this? Yeah, he's this very soft-spoken guy, but when he does his role, he like transform into another person. And that's what I like about these actors, is because they're in tune with the character, and they have so much input in terms of bringing out the script. And the other guy, Pulas, is played by my friend Bob G. Bailey. He is usually a comedy actor for many TV shows here in the Philippines, and for this film, we kind of challenge him to to try a more serious, a bit kind of serious role. And but we were surprised by his transformation in this film.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the acting was wonderful. It was really good. I appreciate it. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Hey, can you just do me a favor? Try moving your microphone away from your mouth. Can you bend it out a little bit? Yeah, just a little bit. If you can't, no worries. You get those little pops of air.
Okay,
Uh, yeah,
there.
but we can hear you fine. Thank you. Yeah, so first let's talk about. You said the writer's name was Nats,
Yep, that's a down eh.
and you guys are friends. So how did this collaboration come about? She was working on the screenplay.
Mhm.
Maybe do you know where she got the idea from, or how you guys got the idea? How did this movie begin for you two?
I think Nats got the idea when she discovered lucid dreaming. A lot of people she knows practices it, and I think she got fascinated with it. And we were in this writing workshop with Ricky Lee. Ricky Lee is also a famous writer here in the Philippines, and we got to collaborate. And she said that "Hey, I have a script. Would you mind to read it?" And when I read it, it's like, wow, this is something different and unique. And it's usually I do comedies, like really, like, very, how do you call this, lowbrow, stupid comedies here in the Philippines. And when she gave me this script, I was kind of hesitant at first because it's like full on drama. It's
Hmm.
full on very bleak or something like that. And somehow I kind of like the challenge. But I was also terrified at the same time. But when so I took it. I took it on when we submitted it in this film festival grant, and somehow I guess that's where it started. That we
Well,
wanted
how
to
did
do
let
something
me
different.
interrupt you? How did your relationship? Where did you guys meet?
In the writers workshop.
Oh, okay, got it.
Cause Nats it works in advertising, and how do you call this? So we in every Sunday we meet up at this writers workshop where there's a lot of writers who share ideas, and we get inputs for our screenplays, stuff like that. And
Right.
somehow this was one of the scripts that she was working on, and I was really surprised she offered this script to me because I'm known for comedies.
Well, and
And
how many movies have you made, or what kind? What number movie is this for you?
this is my fourth
Oh,
movie.
okay. Wow.
And so the first three were like comedies, like really, how do you call this, there was a deadpan comedy, there was a very mainstream studio kind of comedy, and so this is like my fourth film where in a way I kind of veered off from independent filmmaking, and this was like my return to that,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
that kind
Well,
of filmmaking.
but I did like, and one of my favorite parts of this movie is the humor in it, the comedy, if you will.
Hmm.
There's some sweet, the funny moments here because maybe it's you know, inside of a drama, a more serious piece. The
Hmm.
comedy is that much more richer and sweeter. It's really, it's not like slapstick over the top. Oh, goofy. It's really kind of, you know, precious that your comedy moments. Tell me about some of those things. Like, I love when they out of the blue. Well, I love the dream thing where all of a sudden she's switching her dream over. That kind
Uh-huh.
of caught me off guard, and like that made me
Uh-huh.
giggle. And then also
Uh-huh.
the van or the bus scene where they start.
Uh-huh.
That was just clever.
I guess I can't help it sometimes that I like to put a little bit of those weird and bizarre moments. I guess it may be rooted for me liking to do comedies, and but also in this film I'd like to from time to time try to go off course, or in terms of in expectations or in its quirkiness.
Yeah.
So I guess it just like comes natural for me on on the things that I do. So
Those
yeah,
were wonderful moments. I truly enjoyed those, and
thanks.
there's it also, in addition to just bringing entertaining value. Like I said, it does aid the story and the character development too. It makes them more real to me, don't you think? Having kind of those comedy moments surrounded or in the context of the drama and the more the
Mhm.
storyline, if you will.
I think a big part of it is on how Alessandra brings it to the character, because we have a lot of conversations on on how we go about her character Anika, because she's this person who's like a prisoner of herself, of her routinary life, and somehow there's this like small aspects of her that just likes to burst out, and it's expressed in those moments, in those like small comedic moments like those, in
Yeah.
that sort of hidden zaniness that she wants to do.
Yeah, exactly. She really kind of surprises you when she lightens up, if you will, or cracks a smile. Even like when the character, played by what's his name? What your friend's name?
Akulas, Akulas,
Ackles.
Bob
Yeah,
Chibeli, yeah.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
When he gets a smile out of her. Those are even more precious because
Yeah.
she plays it so I don't know, like intimate and precious.
Mm-hmm.
So how tell us about your actors. Like, how did you get Alessandra?
Alessandra, my producer, Antoinette Hadaune and Dan Villegas, they've worked with her already in a previous project, and it was sort of hard to cast the character for Anika, because we have to have this subtlety, and at the same time, it doesn't have to, it has to be a performance that's very magnetic, because it's going to be very drab and bleak, and and we found it in Alessandra. It's I think it's in her eyes. I think in the way she, it's very subtle in very small movements that
Yeah.
wherein she expresses her characters.
Yeah.
And and for the other guy, Savvy, the mysterious other dreamer, is JMT Guzman. He also always has this very mysterious kind of look in into him, and he was this, like, that we envision him as this sort of dream guy that's attainable but yet very, off-putting in a way.
Yeah.
So that's why we went with GM de Guzman.
Yeah.
And for Bob, for the character of Kulas, actually in the first few draft there was no character like that, and we want
No character
to
like what?
Kulas, the other
Oh,
guy.
okay. Yeah.
He wasn't there in the previous draft, and it was like in a few more of our meetings and brainstorms that we realized that I think we need another person just to have an anchor in reality in a way for the character of Alessandra, and also to show that that the real world isn't all that, how do you call this, isn't all that bleak, that there are some people who will somehow bring a smile into your life despite
Hmm.
what's happening, and we wanted to show it in Pulas. And there's this, there's this fun loving guy who is a single dad, and he's happy about it, and
Yeah.
somehow he's the heart in 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 the film, in
Yeah,
uniting
yeah,
the
well,
two.
like you said, he's the heart, and it's the heart based in reality, in real life, and I
Hmm.
think that was a wonderful addition. I think you needed that for the story and the audience, because it came back and it grounded us. It helped us keep grounded too with the differences between her lucid dreams and reality. And then it's funny too. How about you? I can relate to this. I mean, I maybe don't have them anymore, but when I was younger, maybe when I was in the character's age range, I would have those dreams where I had a romance in my dream, and I woke up wishing the dream would continue, and then my
Uh-huh.
my date left. Have you ever had those? These something you experienced? And then I heard you say like there is a group of lucid dreamers, or this is a group.
Yes. I think my writer was able to practice some of it. Lucid dreaming. It takes a lot of concentration and meditation,
Huh.
and she also knows a few friends who does it. So it's like, I try doing it, but I just can't go there. It's like, I think I need a lot of, I don't know, mana in order to get into that kind of state to control
Your
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 dreams.
brain your brain is too active. You're too busy,
Oh,
right?
probably, or maybe I'm in denial that I can go. I don't know, but yeah, there are people like that, and I think the other inspiration perhaps for this movie was because I guess, like, in our country, like, it's rom-com country. Like, there's a lot of rom-coms that's being produced or something, and sometimes the conversation is brought up that maybe somehow when you're sad, it's not love life is the one that cures it all. It's not just being, but being with
Right.
another guy, being with another person, or falling in love will get you out of the rut of depression. So
And
um
you're talking about in case people didn't know the Philippines, right?
yes,
In
and
that country.
in a third world country, wherein there's a lot of class struggle in terms of, of having to find, how do you call this, stability in
Yeah.
income, stability in relationships, and sometimes the only refuge is in dreams. But even in dreams, I think Anika has to find a way to fight it out in a way. That's why he does the hunting as a sort of a revolution for herself in order to, find
Right.
and hang on to
Yeah.
certain things.
I want to commend you. I think you showed with your transition shots, your insert shots. You really showed kind of the competitiveness of everyday life or the mundaneness of everyday life. I mean, without overdoing it. Like all you needed was just little hints between maybe segments or scenes, and it really put us in Annika's world, her real world, her above, out of the dream world. So well
Yes.
done on that. Um,
Thanks. A,
as
a lot of people are saying it's like this is like the worst film to watch in a pandemic because it kind of amplifies the loneliness. Because when I was making this film, I was also in a way I was in a stage of grieving because my dad passed away.
oh, I'm sorry.
And a lot of that loneliness and sadness, I somehow channeled it through this film that
Hmm.
wherein there was always that, yeah, I always wondered that, when will my dad visit me on my dreams. So I think a part of me, of that aspect, the grieving, is I went it you know in
Yeah.
went through
You
this
kind of,
film.
you kind of, yeah, you source that emotion into the film, and it's evident, and I think it aids it, and it also is lucky that you had your comedy background, because if you would have just been too heavy weighted in the grieving and the loneliness, it would have been a downer. But I don't think your
Yeah.
movie's a downer because of your balance.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I was kind of worried about that. Is it too down? Is it too sad?
well, a couple things. You wrote and directed in those comedy sequences, which were wonderful, and then you had the actors. You casted these people that could deliver them, especially. I keep thinking that Bob Jabelli.
Yep, yep.
Having him as kind of like the third. He was almost like a little bit like comic relief, if you will. Not that he was a comedian, but he even tried to warm up Annika's character, right? So
Yes.
nice balance. But uh, specifically to the film, in addition to capturing real life in the Philippines, was that the Philippines, or was that a certain city? Was that an imaginary city? Where was this taking
Uh,
place?
it's in Manila.
Manila.
So it's
Okay.
like aside of the workers force in Manila, wherein these are the people who commute long hours every day, and and with the really busted commute system in the Philippines, it somehow adds to that inner microaggressions of
Yeah.
stuck in this mundane
Well, even
ordinary life.
here, even here in America, I think like you lose sight, because you got to kind of survive, if you will, to pay the bills, to feed your family, whatever. You get caught up in the race that you start to jeopardize the little bits of joy in life, right? Another very sweet moment in your movie, which really stands out, and I loved it, is between the aunt and Annika,
Ah,
um,
yes.
when she catches her using the remote, and
Mm-hmm.
then the aunt explains afterwards at breakfast or dinner why. I mean, I thought that was so touching. Well done. And what was the reason? Because she didn't want her to stop taking care of her, right?
Yes, and I think it's somehow the aunt is I think the hidden story is somehow the aunt felt guilty that she never. I mean, she did try to reach out to Annika in a lot of ways, but there's also a guilty part of her that she wasn't able to protect her from the abuse from before when she was a child or something like that. And I think
So
this yes, go
So,
on, go on.
the performances you got, like in those scenes, how was working with those actors, because those are sweet little moments you captured.
Mhm.
Did you just let the
I
actors go, or did you was it some work, or just a nice collaboration?
I guess it's the collaboration. I mean, before doing the scenes, we asked about our characters and how they're gonna do this, but I think there was like some genuine surprises on what they did on screen that that we didn't talk about, and somehow I like that inputs that they have, like with how Annika just is very quiet, but when the aunt goes, it's like she kind of just breaks down right there, and those are like spontaneous things that I just kept the camera rolling and let
Uh,
Alessandra do what she thinks is right for the scene. So yeah, there were a lot of those small collaborative moments that that they just did. So
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
well done,
I'm
well done.
surprised.
You got some great performances out of your actors, and now specifically the film. I had to watch it on my larger computer monitor. It's bigger, but it's not the movie theater. But there is a technique or something you're applying to the dreams to make them more vibrant and saturated Lucid. I could see there was a quality difference. What'd you do for the dream sequences?
I guess there was like we tried to apply a sort of dreamlike filter, and just to enunciate the dream sequences more and to have it more, very unnatural kind of vibe. And yeah, it was like a filter and some color grading just to make it, to make it different.
Yeah, it
So
worked. It worked. There
mhm.
was a difference. It was more lucid too. At
Uh-huh,
first, I was like, "Is there something wrong with my streaming big Wi-Fi connection?" Then I realized, "Oh no, this is deliberate."
it's buffering.
But it looked really, perfect. Appropriate for the story.
Mhm.
So yeah, excellent. And then what do you think you will do next after this film? What's on your
Um,
plate?
Well, I have a few TV series that I'll be doing soon. It's also one is comedy, the other one is a sci-fi kind of thing, but it's more of a drama. So I'm gonna be doing some of that. I recently did a comedy also for another studio movie for Viva Studios. Called Boy Bastos, or it's what's the English title? Pervert Guy or something like that.
Okay.
So I'm going back to my comedy roots. So but but the other ones, the series, those are more drama. So I'm going to be exploring some other dramatic themes or something like, because I'd like to do different after, because I think it was after Lucy that I realized that, oh, this is different. So I want to do, different kinds of genres. So probably I might do a horror or something like
Right,
that.
right,
So
yeah.
yeah, but with the pandemic right now, like, it's kind of difficult to risk on some high profile, I mean, high
Yeah,
level concepts. So we have to keep budgets low, stuff like that. So I really can't wait for the pandemic to be over to get back to doing things like Lucid, because I think this film festival, Cinema One Originals, it's a yearly festival wherein they give, like, grants to local filmmakers to do explore their, the different kinds of, and when the pandemic hit, it kind of stopped. So there wasn't like room for, exploration, innovation. Producers wanted to keep it safe. So I kind of miss this kind of, movements.
yeah, yeah. Did the pandemic? When did you shoot this? Before the pandemic started, or did the pandemic provide or cause any challenges for making this
uh
movie or with this movie?
we made this in 2019, like around, the festival was around November. So yeah, it was like really months before the pandemic, because everything changed after the pandemic.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hmm.
And how are you doing in relation to these crazy times of pandemic? Everything okay with you and your world as far as this goes?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good. I'm actually in quarantine right now because sorry, excuse me. I was exposed to someone positive, but I don't have symptoms. So but
Good.
still, I gotta keep it safe,
Yeah.
because it kind of hard, in this kind of industry wherein you get to work with, with a lot of
Right.
people on set at the same time. So we have to keep ourselves healthy. So
And when you're working on set in Manila or the Philippines, are you guys abiding by like wearing masks and trying to
oh
sanitize?
yes,
Are you doing that
yes,
stuff?
very very strict with, with the health protocols. We have to do lock-in shoots wherein we have to, wherever our location is, we have to stay there and, have our accommodations there, so that we
Wow.
don't get out of the bubble. So a lot
Right.
of precautions are like that, but somehow these health protocols contribute to 40% inflation in the budget. So a lot of it is, is up,
Uh-huh.
but but it's safety first. We have to be, we have to
Right.
look out for each other,
Right.
stuff
True
like
that.
that. Hmm.
Well, I'm glad you guys made it through your production and you're doing okay through this pandemic. And we only have time for maybe one or two more questions. Why don't you just tell us like where people can learn more about you or that festival you talked about? Anything else you want to share with the audience that's watching?
Um, first off, I'd like to say I miss San Francisco.
Yeah.
I was,
Have you been here?
yep, I was there for Frameline Film Festival 2017, and it was one of my most memorable film festivals abroad.
Yeah,
So,
nice. Were you at the Castro Theater in the Castro
yep,
neighborhood?
yep, I was there, and I think I also stayed somewhere near there. So it was like my first time to be, to be there. So
Fantastic.
it was
Yeah,
fun,
that's a
and
great film festival.
And also to know more about me, you guys can follow me in Instagram. It's at X Gang Leader, EX Gang Leader. I don't know why I stuck with that name since high school, but people know me as X Gang Leader. So you can see some updates of my films or some of my boring mundane life, just eating, stuff like that. Aside from that, some of my films are available online. Like one of my film is called Jesus is Dead, which is available on Netflix. But I think you might need a VPN to access it. To because it's geolocked to the Philippines. I
Mm.
also have another film called Kusina Kings or Kitchen Kings. It's available on YouTube on the Star Cinema channel. Star Cinema is one of the big mainstream studios here in the Philippines, so they have the film available legal and free there in YouTube, Kitchen Kings, and I also act on a few films. So
Ah,
I'm a
great.
part-time actor. Like I do a cameo roles for some of my director friends, filmmaker friends in their films. So in Netflix, I was in Dead Kids. I was in the movie Elise. So if you want to see some of cringe acting, I'm there. So yeah.
Ah, well,
But yeah.
fantastic.
So please follow me Instagram at xgangleader, and
All
yeah.
right. You will. Well, hey, that's all the time we have, Victor. Thank you for joining us from Manila. It's a lovely film, Lucid. Thanks for submitting it to the 2022 San Francisco Indie Fest. And I'm Jason Wallace, everybody. Thank you for watching, and check out more films at SF Indie Fest. And Victor, I'll see you out there. I'll see you next
Okay.
time you come to the Castro Theater.
Sure. Thank you, Jason. Thank you for having me. Thank you, SF Indie Fest, for having our film. I hope you guys enjoy, and please tell your friends.
You got it. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you. Bye, Victor.